Our next speaker is our president-elect for our club. So Stephanie actually, excitingly, is on her 9th speech in the Competent Communicator Manual. And her speech title is What I Hope For. Determined, motivated, and forever growing, her passion is the desire to help others, and that is her greatest motivation. Help me welcome Stephanie Brown. What is hope? Hope, per the dictionary, is the desire for something. Whatever that desire is, it's different for each of us. Hope can get you out of bed in the morning. Hope can keep you going to work each day. Hope can give you something to live for. My question is, once you have hope, do you always have it? And if you lose it, how do you get it back? And once you get it back, do you keep it from there on? How many of you have ever had a conversation with a friend? It may have started off very simple, and then it quickly turned into something that caused you to dig deep and just think and dwell and rethink and then come up with something that is so inspiring that you wish you had had that conversation early on, like within the table topics. If you could talk to your younger self, what would you say, right? How many of you ever had that conversation? The other day I was talking to a friend, and I was bringing her up to speed with what is going on with my father. My father has been in and out of the hospital since I lost my brother this year on January 2nd. It seemed like my father lost hope, his desire to live. It seemed like he was going into a depression, and we were trying to keep him out of that. Every time I turned around, I was being called and told, Stephanie, your father is back in the hospital. You gotta come see him. First it was a infection that caused him to pass out once or twice. The funny thing is when you call my father and ask him what's going on, he would say, oh, everything's fine. He doesn't like hospitals, he doesn't want you to call 911, but somehow someone saved the day. The second time recently I was called that my father was going into the hospital was because he had a foot infection. Goes into the hospital and they say, well, he has a gangrenous toe. How many of you are familiar with diabetes? Right? So when you have diabetes, if you don't really take care of yourself, or you can have a minor cut that turns into something major that causes you to contract what they call gangrene. And what happens is that there's no blood flow to that area. So he was taken to the hospital yet again. I go in, they tell me that he's going to have a toe amputation. Easy enough. I mean, none of us want to lose our fingers or toes, but a toe, not such a big thing, right? So that night, we're in the hospital. It happened to be a 9 o'clock procedure. Sitting in the waiting room, waiting for him to come out. They said it would be 30 to 45 minutes. And an hour goes by, we don't hear anything. The doctor finally comes to me, the surgeon, to talk to me. He says, you know, we went in, it wasn't as easy as we thought. As I cut the toe, I saw more gangrene. And the more I cut, the more I saw. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to remove his foot. I was devastated. I can't only imagine how he felt. But the surgeon said to me that he'll let my father sit with this for a couple of days before he proceeded. My father's father died of complications of diabetes. So I can imagine how scared my father was when he got this news. He decided to move forward with the procedure, and on Mother's Day, we sat there in the hospital while my father had this procedure. So now he's walking around with an amputation from here down. My father and I have never really had a close relationship, and that's because he was just always busy. He was out working. He was doing something else. And I realized in having this conversation with my friend, as I started to revisit my life and what I've been through, she said, you know, Stephanie, I am so surprised that you have come as far as you have come. What drives you? How did you get there? For those of you who know me, you know that I'm Buddhist, and my practice is an active one. We take full responsibility for our lives and what has happened up to that point. I realize that it's not enough to have hope and desire, you have to take action. Because taking action or not is the difference between winning and losing. So as I look back over my life, I realize that through every hardship that I have had as a young child, I watched my brothers be abused by babysitters who happened to be in the family, and I happened to be the recipient of that abuse. When I got married, I found that I ended up being a single parent, and I hope to move past that. And in my career, I too hope and have the desire to have a better life, to be a better person, and to do the best that I could do. The biggest hope that I had had up to this point was to have a closer relationship with my father. I envy those who have that with theirs. And as we were talking, and I got off the phone with her, and I started going back over my life and looking at everything that I had been through up to that point, I realized one of the things that Tamara said earlier is I was always trying to fit in. I was always trying to do more, be more. Why? Because I wanted to be accepted. It didn't matter by whom. What mattered most was by my father. And of late, even though I've been there for him, he just wants to be left alone. And I have to give him that space. I have to let him be who he is and allow him to come around. And now, what I am doing is focusing on me. Because I realize that no matter how far I have come, it took me 10 years to get my graduate degree. I went on to get my bachelor's degree, and I went on to get 2 graduate degrees. Why? Because I wanted to belong, I wanted to fit in. Now I'm learning to take a moment, let my hair down and be free, because I have to think about me. My desire is that I never stop hoping, that I always grow, and I keep moving forward. What do you hope for? Back to you.